When we model, we typically start with a low amount of detail and then start adding detail to create the shape. Now, there are many times when you want an object to be smooth and organic, and so Maya has a smooth command that can do just that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just select the cushion of this chair, and if you take a look at it, you'll see that it has pretty square edges. Now, if we want, we can smooth that out by adding more detail and reshaping this, but we also have a generic smooth command. We can find this under Mesh, Smooth, and let's take a look at the options for that. Probably the most important one is the number of division levels, and that will determine the level of subdivisions that this uses. Now, by that I mean that this will actually add a lot more detail to this and smooth it. So let's just go ahead and use the defaults and smooth. Now, this number of divisions comes up as the main parameter here. And notice how we already have a smoothing of these corners. So if I take this and I bring it to 0, well, that brings it to the original state. Now, if we want to, we can add 1. And notice what happens with this. Each one of these faces is cut in half both ways. So one face becomes 4. So now I have 4 times as much detail in my model. If we go one more time, again, we're going to have a little bit more detail. We're going to have 16 times as much detail. So we have to be very careful about how many divisions we use. If we go too high, you're actually going to have so much detail that you may actually blow up Maya. So you got to be kind of careful with that. So what this does is it actually adds in detail and then it smooths out sharp corners. Now it does this by doing what's called corner clipping. So you can kind of see this here. What it does is it takes this corner and then it averages the angles here and smooths that out. Now if we want, we could smooth something else such as the back of this chair. And again, we can go into Mesh, Smooth. And again, that will allow us to add in divisions. Now, anything that we smooth will show up in the attribute editor. So if I add a smooth to an object, you'll see I have this poly smooth face node in the attribute editor. So we can actually change the way that this smooths, and this represents all of the values that you have when you first smooth it. So we have our number of division levels here. And as you can see, this mirrors that. We can change the type of subdivision. Now, by default, it's called Catmull-Clark. We can also do what's called linear or exponential. And if we go to linear, you can see that we have divisions per face. And so we have a couple of ways to control this. Now, probably the most important one is this roundness control, which allows you to control a little bit of that curvature. So this is one way to add detail to your model. A good way to work is to roughly shape out your model, smooth it once, and then work with the detail again.